Hey guys, it's Oz. So this is going to be part 2 of that series I was talking about of my traumatic brain injury experience, what happened to me, how I got to where I am now, and all of that stuff. So I figured this would be a good time to shoot the second video, get that off my chest, move forward, maybe get the third one going tonight. I'm not sure yet. We'll see what happens. So anyways, let's jump right into it, and here it is. So here we are. I told you guys all about my first head injury. So the second one was, it was on Mother's Day. We were having a get together at my parents' house. At the time, it was before we had gotten a handicap accessible ramp. We were still working on getting that kind of stuff, and actually at that point I wasn't really to the point where things were that bad that I really needed it, so we decided not to get one as of then. So we just had your regular stoop, you know, like a 5x5 little stoop on the front of the house with 2 or 3 concrete stairs that led down into the yard. My parents live in your typical New England ranch style house. You know, one of those built in the 50s type places. Nice little place on about, I think it's about 3/4 of an acre or something like that. It's a pretty good sized plot of land right by Congamon Lakes over there in Southwick. Nice area. Really nice tourist destination for people who are into boating and stuff. So anyways, Mother's Day, so the weather was fairly nice. We were having a get together for a lot of the mothers that we knew, and I was bringing out a plate of chili, and as I went to go down the stairs, my heel turned. Now it went to the side, so I ended up, you know, the part of your heel, like this, that kind of ball of your heel. So when my heel turned, instead of just stepping on my foot, I ended up stepping on that heel bone. Sent me down. You know, luckily the initial fall, I went forward, and because we have my parents had a small walkway there was concrete at the bottom, but right there is the grass. So I was able to kind of sort of direct myself toward the grass so that I fell on a better area. Of course, I spilled the chili all over myself, and it was hot. It was really hot. It had just come out. We were just getting ready to have our cookout and everything, and down I went, chili all over me, hobbled because my leg was killing me. I had stepped on the side. Come to find out later on down the road, I find out that when I had done that, I tore every tendon in the top of my foot. I ended up being in a stabilizing boot for 8 months, I think it was, to get back mobility, which kind of, again, leads into some of the other head injuries. I know it's kind of weird to say something like that and to be kind of laughing at it, but I'll tell you right now, guys, if you have a head injury, if you know anybody who does, sometimes you just gotta laugh at stuff, because if you don't, you end up with depression, and it gets bad. I've been there. I've lived it. And I ended up putting myself in to get taken care of because of my depression. So I know what it's like. You can't let yourself get into that spiral. Of course, at that time, it was all still new to me, so I didn't know what I know now. So anyways, down I went. Luckily, one of our good friends is a retired nurse. So her initial response, now, not just a nurse, she's a mom. You know, it was a really good thing that she was there at the time. She came over, she helped get the chili off me. She was worried about me getting burned and stuff. They went in, they got ice, they put me into one of those, the zero gravity chairs that they have for outdoors. It's a folding chair, but when you sit in it, you're not really sitting so that the legs are what's supporting you. The chair itself kind of hangs in the frame. It's a little hard to explain. I'm sure that the people who know about them know exactly what I'm talking about. So anyways, that's where I was sitting. You know, we were having our little get together, our little fun. And now I do have to at this point go back a little further to give you a little bit of history. Years before this, back in the 90s, there had been a oil spill in my parents' basement, and we had to get it remediated. So we had to have a company come in, clean up the oil spill, dig out our cellar, and in doing so they had to dig 3 wells at different points in the house, at different points in the yard, so that way if at any point in the future they felt the need to come back and check and make sure that the oil didn't get down to the water table, they could have free access to it. Now, these oil wells were all pretty much the same. Concrete about yay big, and then in the center of that, a heavy steel cover. Of course, the cover's locked down. You can't move it. It's not like a manhole cover that if you got the strength, if you got the tool, you can pick it right up. This is something that is locked down for safety purposes. Well, when I was sitting in my chair, unbeknownst to us, we didn't really pay attention. We were just getting the chair where it could be that I could be stable at the time. So a while has gone by since I've fallen. You know, we're eating our lunch, everybody's hanging out and talking. All of a sudden, something happened. The chair went crack and dumped me out backwards. And it dumped me directly onto that piece of concrete, that piece of steel. And where it dumped me was the same exact place on the back of my head where I had gotten my head injury, my first TBI. So it dumped me right out, slammed me right down onto that ground. I hit hard again, and I was knocked out again. Apparently, a couple of the people who were there thought I was joking at first because they just saw the thing go and my feet go up, and they thought I was being a character. I was having fun until they realized I wasn't moving. They came over to assist me to do what they could. I'm not sure if it was this time or not. That was the first time where the ambulance was actually called for me. I can't recall offhand, but either way, I was down again. I was knocked out again. I was concussed again. I had a second traumatic brain injury. With this traumatic brain injury, the migraines got worse. I went from just having a daily migraine to having a daily migraine of about 3 to 4 on the pain scale. When the weather would come in, anytime the barometer would drop, anytime that pressure would change, I would go from, say, a 3 to 4 to an 8 to 9, sometimes even a 10. It got that bad. It got to the point where I was, on multiple occasions, brought to the ER just for my headache. My headaches were that bad. So I was brought in. I started resting. It was at that point that I started getting more afraid to fall. My vertigo did get worse at that point. I explained to you guys in the last video what vertigo was to me, and from other people that I've talked to, what everybody seems to associate with vertigo. It's a next level dizziness. I mean, if you think it's bad, if any of you guys out there are drinkers and you've had a night where you've overindulged and then you've had that room moving feeling where you have to put your foot on the ground to stop the room from moving. It's like that, but way, way worse. Because, like I said in the last video, the floor moves like this. The walls seem to move like this. And your body seems to be going like that, opposite. So you got 3 different movements going all at the same time. It's damn near impossible to move. I won't deny it. I won't sugarcoat it for you guys. It's damn near impossible to do anything when you're in a bad state of vertigo. Same can be said for the migraine. When you've got that bad migraine, it can be damn near impossible to do anything. So there I was on the ground. I believe what was told to me was everybody was checking out, making sure I was okay. Again, I don't remember whether the ambulance was called at this point or not. I'm going to err on the side of caution and say it was not. But I do believe I did go once again to the ER that day to get checked out. So again, here we are again. Another trip to the ER. Another head injury. Again, and I went to the same ER. That was a mistake because I was told the same exact thing. Nothing is wrong. Go back home. You got a little concussion. You'll be fine. Go and rest. We did. We did what we were told. The major components of the concussion, I want to say, lasted for a good 2 weeks. Now, when I say the major components of the concussion, anyone who has had one kind of knows this, but you get a brain fog, for sure. You have problems finding words. You have problem solving. You have problems with many different things. Just your brain working in general, it doesn't work properly. You can't seem to communicate properly to your hands. I started getting tremors in my hands, my legs at times. I would go to walk. Sometimes my legs would go weak because of the head injury, because my brain was not communicating properly with the rest of my body. The headaches were constant. The pounding in that part of the skull was intense. It really got to the point where I felt as though I was trapped in my own body. I couldn't do anything that I wanted to do. I was relegated to being taken care of by everybody else. There were days where I could not even get out of my bed by myself. If I had to use the bathroom, I needed assistance to get into the bathroom. If I was to shower, as soon as the water hit my head, my vertigo was so bad that I would damn near pass out. So we had to be very careful. We had to be very cautious. We had to understand that this could be something that could be permanent, that things were not progressing, they were staying stagnant at this point. We knew we needed to see someone. We needed to talk to someone. So, on the advice of, again, that same ER, I got hooked up with a neurologist. And I got looked at by the neurologist. And I was told that I had PCS, post-concussive syndrome. Basically, it's a nice way of saying you hit your head, you got a concussion, now you're in the after stages of it. Now you're in the stages where your brain should be healing. So again, I trusted the doctor. I did what he said. I cut down my screen time to next to nothing. In the very first instances, the very first 4 or 5 days, I had no screen time whatsoever. I wasn't on my phone. I wasn't on the TV. I wasn't playing video games. I didn't do anything. I couldn't even read, to be honest. In fact, for a time, I lost the ability to read. I would go to read a book. I know I haven't mentioned this before, but I am a writer by trade. That is my chosen profession. So to not be able to read to me was oh, it was crazy. I didn't know how I was going to live the rest of my life without being able to read. I would go to read a book, I would read a sentence, maybe two. By the time I got finished with the second sentence, I couldn't remember what was said in the first, and I had to go back and reread it. I would spend hours on a single page not being able to comprehend what I had just read. I had to stop reading altogether. I had to stop doing anything for a time. I ate and I slept. And anybody out there who knows about depression knows how bad that is for you. Being in that thing of only being able to eat, only being able to sleep, not being able to watch TV, not being able to do anything, not being able to go anywhere, you get into a spiral and you start going down. And once you get in that spiral, it's hard to get out. I've been there, guys. It was hell. It was hell for me. So, anyways, that's where I was. I was at my second head injury, and I'll be uploading and working on the next one. Again, guys, please, this is March. March is Brain Injury Awareness Month. Please, after you watch this video, like it. If you're kind enough and you can share my link to it, share it on your Facebook page, share it on your Instagram, share it wherever you can. I want to get my story out there. I want people to understand that they don't have to go through this alone. There are systems out there to help people who have these problems. And it was very difficult for me to find. Now I have this way to share my story. I have this way to tell people what happened to me, and I want people to understand not just what happened to me, but what could be happening to them, what could happen to their family, what could happen to their friends, so that way they can understand where these people are coming from. I lost a bunch of friends. I lost pretty much every friend I had at that point. They said I changed. I will get into that later on, more in one of the future videos. We are getting a little long here, so please, guys, like my page, subscribe, check out my Soothing Nature one, subscribe to that. Right now I've only got 2 videos up there. I plan on making more. I'm working on it. I'm getting editing software. I'm doing everything I can to make more. You know, like my stuff. It takes just a second to click that like button, but it helps me immensely. Leave me a comment if you got time. I would love to hear from everybody who watches my video. I would love to hear what you guys think, how it may have affected you. So, guys, I just want to say thank you for listening, and I'll be back with part 3 soon. Thanks. I was out. Later.